There we go. Hey guys, Boone down south here. So today we're up in Ohio. It's the end of our trip. Had a good trip up here. We're going home empty. He missed a nice one with his Ravin crossbow, but the point of today is I want to kind of did some video throughout the week and just really go into overview over this Ravin R10 crossbow that he's been using it back home in South Carolina. He's used it a solid week here every day in Ohio. And so basically I want to go over the overview of this Ravin, what it's all about, the features it has, and then kind of at the end I'll kind of compare it with my Wicked Ridge because that's what I'm most familiar with, that's what I've been hunting with. I will say though, he's got some nice features on his bow, but mine's proven 5 times now. Yeah. Anyway, hang in there, hit that like and subscribe. Okay, that's cool. Alright, this is the Ravin R10. Ravin has a unique cocking method on their crossbows. It's kind of unique, it's ambidextrous. And we're going to take a look at this and look at all the features. I tell you what, I really like the scope. The reticles that are set up there are pretty cool. And it's designed based on the feet per second your bolt's going through. But basically this is the crossbow. As it comes, you get the crossbow, you get a quiver, and you get 3 bolts. These are the carbon 400s that Ravin provides you. And we'll take a look at some of the more specs and details on this thing and put it to action here. So it comes with a handle that you put on either side. You can set it up for either side. And basically you've got a long tether here. And basically you've got this mechanism right here that you pull back as you're cranking. And right now it's clicker, but you can turn the clicker off and do a silent draw. We'll have the clicker on. So you could do this in a stand and make virtually no noise with it. But that's basically your setup. So that pulls it on back. Look how tight that is. What's the distance axle to axle on this Ravin R10? Not sure. You can see how tight it is though. It's pretty darn tight. Alright, so here's another neat feature of this Ravin. They call it frictionless arrow flight. And as you can see here, right up here at the front of our arrow, there's a little, like 2 wheels, there might be ceramic wheels or something that arrow is resting on right there. But then the arrow doesn't touch anything else. This is an open system here. If I come down, you can see there's a gap there. The arrow is not riding on the rails, okay? So that's kind of neat. So basically it's touching the string grooves, or the string here, in the back at the knock point, and then it's sitting on those things, and that's how it's launched. So definitely not touching a lot of stuff. When you cock this, it automatically goes to safety, and when you take it off safety, it is silent, and when you put it back on safety, it's a click. That's what we got. We're gonna shoot this thing. Let's see how that works.
Tell me when. When.
So this is Predator camo they've got on this thing, and we do have an oversized handguard, which I tell you what, when it comes to crossbows, you cannot be too safe. Just something to think about. You know, you need to keep the healthy fear of these crossbows, especially when you're hunting with them, you know, excitement of deer coming around or something like that. You know, always, always, always keep those fingers down because it will take the fingers off, folks. Just about all these crossbows will. Keep them down low. That's what those handguards, the older ones didn't have handguards this size, and now all these newer ones are made with these good handguards to keep you, as a reminder, keep your hand down there. But a lot of times we also forget the idea of the force that's wrapped up in these limbs when they release. So always pay attention to what's around when you release. You know, is your knee over here? You know, is there a part of your stand over here? Because you definitely don't want to take out your knee with this thing either. Anyway, it's got a nice form factor here, really tight. When it's cocked, it's even tighter. So it's pretty cool design. Now let's see, how well has this been holding up for you in the stand?
Been great. Love it.
What kind of issues have you had with it?
I can't really think of anything other than just remembering, of course, to take the safety off. But I do really like the feature where it clicks to silent. It makes it great. I also like, I don't know if you mentioned it, but the reticles are lit, so you can go from different intensities of red, and on the back side it's green. So if you prefer green over red, I personally prefer the red in the evening. It does a little bit better job with highlighting.
Yeah, and the intensity levels are nice too, because what I find for me that when you have it too bright at night, it just messes up my eyes and I can't really see because it's too bright. So having a low setting for that seems to give you a little bit more time.
But it's easy to maneuver in the stand. It's really narrow, like you say. It's relatively light. I think it's just under 7 pounds. So overall, it's a good bow. It's kind of their entry level for this type of a bow, and but it's great and it's fast.
Yeah, 400 feet a second on this thing, so it's definitely having a hard time with the target down. As you saw that shot we took earlier, just pretty much buried it. All right, I'm looking at the scope on this, so it's a little over dramatized as I'm looking through here, but you can see you got a 20-yard marker, 30-yard marker, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100-yard marker on here, and a good reminder to keep your fingers down, safety factor. So here's another image to the iPhone, just to trying to give you a perspective on what you got. You kind of see the image there a little bit. I shifted around. So the other thing is when you set the scope up, you can see you've got these settings here. This crossbow is for 400 feet a second, but you can see they've got settings to calculate your trajectory up to 450 and down to, what's that, 300. This scope pretty much covers a wide range of feet per second there. One of the things about this quiver is I do like the fact that the quiver mounts here parallel with the frame of the crossbow. I think that's pretty cool. Now, for me, I like to hunt with the quiver off, so I like to take it off. And I will say the quiver can mount on either side. You got these two bolts here, if you will, not really bolts, more like studs. And you push this button in here to release that and then pop it off. And you can put it on either side as well. So it is ambidextrous all the way around. You can put your crank on here if you want. Put your crank on the other side. And by the way, that crank is magnetic as well. So when you put it on here, it'll slap it against it really tight and suck it in. And then this piece right here can go on either side as well. And this is really for you to hold on to right there as you're cranking the crossbow. Now, again, back to this quiver, it is pretty tight to get this pushed in and get this on and off. And for me, I like to take my quiver off when I'm hunting just because I don't like any chance of these arrows catching on leaves, a branch, you know, a lanyard of a call that I've got on or something like that. I just don't want it to make any noise, make any extra movement. So I always take my quiver off. So, you know, it is a little bit more of a challenge than say just a lever that pops it off or just slide off or something like that. So it is a little bit challenging to get that on and off, but it's definitely doable. All right, now, just like when I got my Wicked Ridge M-370, which was supposed to be sighted in at 20 yards right out of the box, and I got home and shot my first arrow and it was like 7 inches high and hit the wood and shattered my bolt. When guys are putting this together, they don't always put it together like you want. Now, Andy purchased this from a distributor. He didn't purchase it directly from Ravin, and so that distributor then mounts everything, and they had a special. They got him a free Ravin case, a soft case with it too. Got him a sling that he threw in with it, the Ravin sling, which you definitely want a sling to carry these things around because it's like a gun, right? It's not lightweight from that perspective. Been shooting it, and everything's been pretty good. Had this thing sighted in, no problem shooting it 40 yards at all. I mean, we can shoot a lot farther, but hey, look, you know, when these wood situations on the eastern side of the U.S., we don't have these open prairies. You know, it's you can't see a lot of stuff. But last night he had a nice buck come in on him. It was a little far out, and he took the shot, and his arrow went way off. And come to find out, the other day going up the mountain, he slipped a little bit, and he came down on his knee and bumped the crossbow. And we started looking at this thing last night after that miss, and the scope was not solidly mounted in here. It was loose. So there was play left in this thing, so that jar knocked that scope loose. So when you get any crossbow, whoever's putting it together, they may not do what you want to do. So definitely check everything out, because that was the one drawback of him getting this, is that cost him a really nice buck last night.
And Ken, you might want to note that we also have, I know other crossbows have it as well, but it does have the
Picatinny rail down there.
Yep. Just want to mount something else on top of the existing mount.
Yep. Nice little laser mount. Go on there, hit the that's probably not legal in those states having the electronics to it, but anyway. Yeah, very cool, very cool. But overall, you happy with your purchase?
Love it.
Good deal, good deal. All right, so just want to kind of do a little comparison, because you know I've got the video on my Wicked Ridge. I did a really thorough review of that last year, and that video's done really good for me. So I'll put a link up. You can check that out for the Wicked Ridge. But that's what I'm really familiar with. Shot 3 deer with it last year, 3 does. Shot 2 bucks already this year. I'll put a link up to one of those, made both those videos that you can check out. It's performed very well. I'm very happy with it. Keep in mind, these are 2 different price points. So the Wicked Ridge with the AccuDraw, which I wouldn't get it without it, because I know somebody actually cracked the rib trying to, you know, cock the crossbow. So, and especially with a guy like me, older guy, shoulder surgeries, you know, I want that crank. And my buddy's older than me, so he needs a crank too, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, anyway, I had to get it. Anyway, so yeah, with the AccuDraw, that model runs, I think it was $769 is what it sells for, $769. This Ravin R10, this runs at about $1,200. So it's about a third more in price. So I want to kind of talk about what you get, what I like about it, what I don't like about it, how it compares with my Wicked Ridge, what I like about it, what I don't like about it. So a couple things. Number one, that M-370, it's a 370 feet per second crossbow, okay? This baby's a 400. And you can say, all right, it's only 30 feet a second, not that big of a deal. And you know, for most scenarios where you're shooting, especially on the East Coast, where we're dealing with in woodland environments, not out west, open air areas, you know, it's really not going to make a difference. I've killed 5 deer with that thing since I had it last year, okay? And every one of them, farthest went 60 yards. Some of them went, as far as how far they went after the shot, most of them went 30 yards. One of them only went 10 yards. You know, very effective. And really when it comes down to any crossbow you buy, compound bow, recurve, traditional bow, whatever, it comes down to your arrow placement entering the target. That's really what it comes down to. If you make a kill shot, if you double lung it, get the heart, it doesn't matter how fast it is, you're going to kill that animal. At 400 feet a second, you do have a flatter trajectory. You have a little more room for error on your yardage estimation, right? Of course, we use rangefinders to fix that, but you know how it is. You range 10 or 12 trees out there, and all of a sudden, like, oh, which one was that again? Is it 20, 25? But you have a little more, you know, room for error with 400 feet a second than 370. Not much, but you do have that. But I will tell you this. We've been shooting on my targets, and I'm going to film a little video, which really doesn't do it justice because I wasn't filming the other day when we were shooting at it. But many times when this was shot, the bolt coming out of the Raven was all the way into the target where just the knock was right there. And that was it. The fletching was buried in there, where that doesn't happen. Sometimes my bolt will go to the fletching on that target, but on the Raven, it was burying them. So the penetration factor was definitely a difference with the 400 feet a second. So that's one thing. It does have a narrower footprint than Wicked Ridge, both cocked and uncocked. It does come with, I feel like, a nicer scope. And I tried to video as best I could the other day. By putting my camera up here, it's a little kind of fuzzy, but you can kind of see, I really like, and maybe it's a preference thing, but I really like the reticle on this guy because it's got the center dots, and actually each line is labeled, whereas mine is not. And so you put somebody on it, like if I want to have one of my kids shoot, I got to go ahead, that first mark is 20, then 30, 40, 50, 60, whereas this, out to the right, it shows you 20, 30, 40. So there's no, did I remember the right line or anything like that. So really nice scope on this Raven. Raven's got a very unique cocking design, which we talked about. It's kind of a little bit more seamless than the Wicked Ridge. And the other thing that I like about this guy is you can mount the quiver vertically. So that quiver mounts vertically on here. You know, that's what I like about. Was there anything else I was thinking about? Oh, here's one other thing. With a Raven, you can decock this without discharging a bolt. And you know, most crossbows recommend that you discharge a bolt, including the Wicked Ridge, but you can decock this without it. So that's what I like about it. So some really nice features there. A couple things that I don't like. I don't like the fact that the safety switch. I can click it to fire, it's quiet. When you come off of fire, it's gonna click, and there's nothing you can do about it, no way to silence that, it's gonna click internally in there. And so, you know, the idea is that, you know, deer comes in, you take it off of safety, deer goes away, you know you don't have a shot, it's out of range, you go ahead and put it back on. But what I'm, in my mind is, what about the deer behind me I didn't see that's 10 feet behind me, and I go to click it and it goes click and it takes off running, and that was the 12 point that I didn't get a chance to shoot now. So that's the kind of thing that goes through my head with that noise. That's one thing I don't like. The other thing is, I really don't, they got a unique design here. If you look on the back of here, this is where your quiver mounts and this is where your crank mounts, or vice versa. So you can put the quiver on either side. I'm a guy who likes to get the quiver off. I want it out of the way when I'm in the tree stand. I don't want it banging on anything. I want it out of the way. So I hang my quiver up. It's really, really tight. So I will say when things are mounted here, you're not gonna lose the ratchet handle. You're not gonna knock a quiver off. Really nice for that, but it's really hard to do. It's almost like a two-handed job. And if this thing's cocked and you're in a tree and you want to get the quiver off, it's going to take some practice, what I think. Okay, I haven't done it, but that's what I think. That Wicked Ridge is easy, pop a lever, it slides right off, I hang it up, I'm done. But it is nice that it does mount parallel with the crossbow frame, because look, when you're walking through the woods and it's on your sling on your back, you know, it's not sticking out, you're not banging branches and stuff like that. Yeah, that's in a nutshell, the features that I like about it, the few things that I don't like about it. The other thing is this is heavier. The Wicked Ridge does come in a good bit lighter. And I say that because I've actually added the 10-point string dampening system to mine, which is heavy. There's metal involved with that. It adds some weight to it, and it still comes out a good bit lighter. But again, you got to remember the M-370 was touted last year as the lightest crossbow on the market. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what it was marketed as. But it's definitely lighter. When you feel the two of it, you feel the difference. But anyway, yeah, I just kind of wanted to go over this stuff. So, you know, that's what you get with that extra price point. You're going to get the speed. You're going to get a smoother, more seamless cocking method. You can decock this bow. You got a nicer scope. And that's basically what you're going to get. They're both ambidextrous, so you can set it up either way. It's a pretty nice bow. It's got a cool camo pattern on it. Pretty nice and narrow there. It's pretty cool. You can't go wrong with either one of these bows. You know, every crossbow has its own little niches, and it comes down to preference in a lot of cases. So, you know, there's some things I found with the M-370 that I'm not thrilled about. You know, I noted that in my other video. And you can watch out, I'll put a link up, or I probably already put the link up, so you've got that. But anyway, very nice, very tight, just feels good, feels good. So anyway, y'all hit that like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.